can't lose. No, we can't lose.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Gambling gods, fickle bunch.
Oh, yeah.
So easily affected.
We have a shooter and a good one coming out for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. He's a rolling point is 9, place 9. 9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
They bet on absolutely anything. Don't make them prove.
You know, I live my dreams. I've been pinned by Jerry the King Lawler. I've actually pinned Brian Anthony. I lost a match. I got elbowed through it. I've been through several tables in my life now.
You're tuned in to Gambling with Good JuJu.
Welcome in, everybody, to Gambling with Good JuJu, the show with more rich little piggies than every casino in Vegas. We're rich right here, right in the heart, Juice. Pure. Hey, while we kick things off, do us a favor and head on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. If you're listening along on Spotify, Apple, or some random niche podcasting platform, give us a follow there. We can also be found on the socials at Good JuJu Bets, and we always appreciate and shout out folks that visit goodjujubets.net, click on the merch shop, and show their support. We've got a few shout outs today.
Yeah,
you want me to do it or you want to do it?
Go for it, bud.
All right. First of all, our guy Aaron hit up the shop for not one, not two, but 3 items.
I think that's like probably 2 months worth of Good JuJu.
He's gonna, if he decides to go to the casino regularly, he's gonna be rich soon.
He's gonna make it till Labor Day.
I'm pretty sure. Great guy, fan of the show. Thank you, Aaron. Also, Jeff in Michigan grabbed 2 items from the shop, and Evan in Florida also stopped by to make a purchase.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for your support, fellas. We hope your gear brings you all the good juju to your bets.
Yeah, or whatever else you're into.
Whatever else you're into. Good juju and whatever weird stuff you're up to.
There we go.
Today, we're very excited to welcome in our newest friend of the show, host of Cousin Vito's Casino Podcast, Cousin Vito. Vito, welcome into the show. To kick things off, our newest favorite question for casino guests. Have you ever been kicked out of the casino or come close?
You know what? I could say no, actually. I'm very well behaved at the casino because I'm on the East Coast, so I have a couple of local casinos, Fox and Mohegan Sun, so I'm very well behaved there. You know, it's not like I'm at, you know, and even when I've been to Vegas, I'm pretty well behaved. I can handle my alcohol, I think is what it is, and I'm there for the gambling, so, you know, I'm never fighting over girls or, you know, at the club. So to me, you know, maybe I get perturbed at the craps table sometimes, but, you know. Nothing to get me thrown out. I'm a patron saint of the casino.
A patron saint of the casino. Oh, my gosh.
Can you say the same thing, Juice?
I have never been thrown out. I've only been not let on. That's a fact.
I mean, I've been with people who have been escorted out, but...
Okay, that's actually true.
Yeah.
I've seen him not allowed on to a casino several times. I've never seen him kicked off of the casino. I'm pretty sure I was about to get kicked out of a casino one time, and I ran off the boat instead of letting them actually kick me off. I just took off and went on.
Yeah.
All right, then let's get into this. Vito, you hit the casino for a night out with your friends. What's your first stop when you arrive?
Well, first stop is going to end up being a rewards kiosk or the rewards desk, because usually I forget my card at home, so I have hundreds of cards. I could probably build like a coffee table with all my cards I have lying around, but that's usually the first stop. Make sure I get my player's card going, and then I'm a casino stroll guy. I let I go whichever way the wind blows when I walk in. I don't walk in too determined, because then if something goes wrong, the craps table's full, the Pai-Gow table is the limit's wrong. I scope out, usually maybe, I guess these days, probably video poker. I'll go get a cocktail, play some low video poker, quarters, or, maybe 5-play nickels, relax, and then go around with whoever I'm with. It depends who I'm with, too. I'm like a chameleon there. So if I'm with the craps guys, we're playing craps. I have a couple buddies who are big sports bettors. And then, I have casuals that I go with where I'm kind of like teaching them how to have fun losing money, which they don't usually like doing. But
we've been known to do that.
Yeah, I think all those things you just mentioned line up very accurately with how our visits to the boat go to these days, because
Yeah,
we've
for
got
sure.
our local casino is the Paradise Casino, East Peoria, Illinois.
Riverboat.
Probably known as one of the greatest casinos in America.
It's my
correct?
favorite.
Oh, Illinois, a couple of Bears fans over there, maybe.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from New England, but I grew up a Bears fan from NFL film. So Dick Butkus, Walter
Wow.
Payton. I have all Bears. I have Bears jerseys. Devin Hester's my hero, but we'll see. They'll
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah, we are irrationally optimistic.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I'm so on Caleb here. I'm trying to get behind the painted nails. I don't know if I could do it. I can't picture him winning the Super Bowl yet. But maybe, Luther Burden swinging around. We got some exciting stuff going on there. But the firing of Lovie Smith, it ruined my whole fandom, to be honest with you. But I'm still hanging in. Now I'm a gambler, so I don't cry when the Bears lose. I just say, yeah,
Right.
like the Knicks. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm used to it.
Yeah.
I
Jeez.
was a big Lovey fan, Vito, and then he took over my college football program, Illinois, and I am no longer a Lovey fan. He did not do well at the college level whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, in his defense, when he came back to the NFL, he did help the Bears get that first pick by when they throw the bomb and one at the end totally screwed the Texans. It was
Yes.
beautiful. It was like, thank you. It felt like he did it for me. I know he didn't do it for me, but
Right.
I had a little tear in my eye when I said, wow, look, we're going to get the fingernail painted guy. Perfect. This should work out.
That is absolutely true. We did celebrate Lovey Smith when that happened,
That was
didn't
so
they?
awesome.
He did go out on a high note for us.
I think we hit the shot ski when that happened.
Oh, yeah, I was rocking and rolling when that happened. I was like, look, he did it. He finally.
Yeah, he pulled it off.
All right. So if you're getting to pick what you're doing in the casino, let's say you're there with a couple friends, they don't care what you're doing. What's your go-to game then?
Are limits? Am I having imagined whatever limit I want on the table? Because that's a big predictor these days.
Oh,
The
boy.
limit situation, because I love my first passion, my first true love would be craps.
Yeah.
My issue is, $25 minimum. I can play it,
Yeah.
but I don't have the fun I used to have on, my $5 or $10 minimums where I'm throwing out all sorts of come bets, placing this, buy that for me. Where now, at the $25, I still have fun, but it's more of a, you're biting your nails a little bit. You're like, all right, let's just, let's take a couple bets in here before I get totally walloped. So a $5 craps table would be the ultimate. If I walked into a casino and there was an open $5 craps table, maybe a little fire bet action, maybe a little all tall small on there,
Yeah.
I'd hunker down immediately and say, let me get a spot and, maybe we'll make some fun. But
Yeah.
Well, let us recommend the Quad Cities on the border of Illinois, Iowa. They got 3 casinos with another one a half hour away.
Yeah.
The king of $5 tables.
For sure. They're dying to have gamblers.
oh my, they should advertise that $5 craps tables.
It's awesome.
And it's mostly empty. We went to
Yeah.
we went on a road trip at the end of February, and we hit up a casino at like 4 p.m. And I sat there playing blackjack with like 2 other guys at a $5 blackjack table while he was going to town on an empty
Literally,
craps
yeah.
tub looking
Literally
thing.
by myself. Yeah.
By yourself, little shorty table and everything for
Yeah,
it.
it was
right?
great.
Yeah,
Lost a
so
bunch of money.
come on out. Come
Cherish
visit.
to the pit boss there because it's a nightmare over here on the East Coast. I haven't been to Atlantic City in a while though, so maybe Atlantic City they still got some fives floating around. But here in Connecticut, Foxwoods, Mohegan, they don't care.
$25 at a craps table. You got to be pretty surgical.
Yeah, you're saying so. Depending on how it's going, you figure put the pass line. We're starting out with 1 times odds here,
Yeah.
so. That's the other sad thing is I would at a $5 table, I'd still have $25 on my odds, but it'd be a 5 timeser, and you'd be like, oh yeah, look at this, I'm getting some good leverage here. But I'm placing a 6 or 8. Sometimes I'm doing a couple of come bets. It's like not as fun. It's not as fun when you have the whole board covered. So yeah, not the down and out here, but yeah, I would open up at a $5 craps table with my magic wand.
I love it.
Do you travel very often to other cities, or are you sticking mostly to the local casinos lately?
I used to. So when I started the podcast, I was single. I think I might have been dating my wife actually. So, but either way, I wasn't married with children. So I had my first son in 2020. I have a second son now. So my gambling has changed. Actually, I've been I have a couple episodes I have in the doc here that I'm going to be putting out. And one of them's going to be about that because that's really changed. I don't want to see my perspective on gambling. I mean, a little bit because then you're like, you joke around like, oh, there goes the kids' college fund, but you're like, well, I guess it could have went somewhere. This extra that's my expendable income, but if I'm not eating it at a restaurant, I'll throw it away at a craps table. But it's it's the mentality of I'm making a trip. They're much quicker now. Like even this weekend. A lot of my pals, I almost was going to go out, Vegas vacation. I forget what number it is. 360 Vegas is out there. So I was going to go out and see Tony and all the guys out there. And even my buddy Rick, he had a room at the Plaza. He's like, I got a free room for you if you want to come down. And now, I got the kids at work. I had a big thing at work this week. So I was like, I can't go to Vegas, especially with air travel. You never know. Like, oh, yeah, I'll be back Monday morning. It's like, there have been times I thought I was leaving Vegas at, in the morning and I didn't leave till the red eye that night and my whole next day's shot. So that's been the difference is with the kids, I have to be more precision, like a sniper. You know what I mean? Going in there, I'm not like the bull in the china shop where I'm like, I'm going for like I got my wisdom teeth. This is like a decade ago, or whatever. I got my wisdom teeth, and this is how long ago it was. They were given like whatever to numb the pain for me. I had 3 nights at Foxwoods. I was all by myself. I'm having a bottle of wine, hanging out, playing roulette. I was in my Italian jumpsuit, like the little Adidas suit. And back then, 3 days at the casino, that was the best. Take off work. I had less responsibilities. Nobody would call me. So now I'm more like, we got the kids, we got the work, we got to try and get. But I do have I have a trip planned coming up next week. But we got to get. I'm enjoying the casino and the resorts in a different way. Let's put it.
Yeah, fair enough.
We know that feeling. We know that life. We're right there with you, Vito.
Yeah.
Isn't it great? Isn't it just great?
Yeah.
Love you, kids.
Yeah, shout out the kids.
Seriously, shout out the kids. You're great. We love you.
Well, I'm happy they're here, but sometimes I look at the stars at night and I say, yeah, remember that was fun just picking up and going. I used to just you get a comp room, you say, it's at 7:00 at night. I'm just gonna shoot up tonight. I'll book off work tomorrow. This will be great. Where now it's like, all right, I got my calendar. Let me put it in the calendar, check all the other stuff that's going on. It's little Billy's birthday party next weekend. So
oh man.
Now that I have kids, I feel like I wasted too much time when I didn't have kids, not having enough fun.
Oh my gosh. You had plenty of fun.
And I had a lot of fun.
No, it's true because you always had an excuse like, I need to wake up for work in the morning. It's like, did I really? I had to wake up, but I could have stayed up till 2 and still woke up. Now it's like, I want to go to bed. Just what time is it? The sun's going down. It's bedtime. Forget about it. We're going to bed. Or, before, because one thing I used to have I used to have my Knicks season ticket, like the mini packages. I used to go to Manhattan all the time for the games. That sometimes I long for that, especially now that they don't stink. But I long for that sometimes. Be like, man, think about that. I used to just get out of work, hop on the train, get back at 3 a.m, stay in the city. Who cares? I didn't have no one to call, nothing to do. I think at one point I probably had a flip phone back then when I was going to the city. So you could barely even talk to me. Where now it's like my location is pinpointed and tracked. So,
of course,
I had Cubs season tickets, and it took 1 year of a kid for me to get rid of them.
Yeah, no, it's true because then you're like, this is, and especially you get to the end of the season, depending on what season you have. Sometimes the team starts stinking. There was times where I was like, I'll actually save money by wasting this ticket and not going to the game. You can put it online and like nobody's gonna buy it anyway half the time with the Knicks stunk. So I would be like, I already paid $80 for this ticket. Between train and dinner and all the agony of defeat, it's like I'm gonna watch the game at home and like enjoy losing $80 somehow on this. So. Go figure.
Can we introduce you to sports betting?
You don't have to. You need to get me a divorce lawyer for sports betting. Introduce me to that. Oh my god! But that is part of the change in the casino aura, though. At least I don't know how the laws are in Illinois, but. Now that we have, the sports betting on the phone and you now have to get the bookie on the phone and meet up and do cash and all that. And before it was like, all right, you could do like a parlay, a teaser, and a flat bet. There wasn't too much you could do on any given weekend. You get the newspaper. We have another Katz's Deli around. There's a Katz's Deli in New York. There's a Katz's Deli outside New Haven. I used to go there, BYOB. You get the bring the bottle of champagne. They buy their orange juice to make them feel good. Get a nice pastrami sandwich with a newspaper. You get the lines in there. You know what I mean? Like get the buddies, mad scientists. Like, all right, let's see. Who do we like today? We got the Sunday morning spreads where now it's like you just scroll the game. Oh, I got 2 minutes. Hang on. Oh, the game started. Let me bet anyway. Where ritual, I feel like the ritual is gone in a way, but you could bet so little now. Before it was like you can't call a bookie. Be like, I want a $5 teaser. I want a $5 20 teamer. He'd be like, click.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, I don't know. I do think that Drake May's going to run for 7.5 yards today. I'll just throw a little bit on that. That looks like a good line. So, and again, but that's with the kids. That kind of changed the casino because even now. You can sit on the phone. I like the video poker. I would go play video poker. Sometimes you get there, you lose your ass after like an hour, and you're like, well, I'm here. I might as well keep playing. When am I going to be here again? Where now it's like, you know what? I could go and I could be in the kids could be watching Bluey or something, and I'll be there with a five hands of video poker for playing 50 cents a hand. Where you're like, all right, this is it's like. I'm putting money in a jukebox here. It isn't like a big loss where, before it was like go to the casino, you're like, well, it's either going to be weeping or, I'm usually hopefully breaking even is like the celebration. But
yeah.
So I forgot how we got here, but that's where I am now in my life.
So what are your thoughts on the video blackjack and the video craps and the video roulette machines that are available in casinos now?
I mean, I don't have anything against them. I prefer not to play them now. There was, so I don't know. I don't have my finger on the pulse of the comps game anymore, but I know back in the day we used to churn like rewards, like if you were getting to the end of a tier period and you could go go to the roulette machine, play the black and the red, split the double zeros and be like, all right, if you're betting enough money, and you're trying to get to that tier, you're like, I'm kind of getting there. I know I'm losing, but what I'm going to gain for getting up to this tier is worth the loss. That's mostly my video roulette. Honestly, locally, they took a lot of the video roulette and craps out. Now it's mostly stadium roulette at, Mohegan and the Foxwoods. I mean, they still have some of the machines, but a lot of them, they put the little placard. You don't get tier credits on this anymore. So they're wise to hip to that now. And like the craps, I actually do enjoy the bubble craps. I think it's the bubble craps where you get, it's a single seat and you got your own little dice there. When I go with people that aren't gamblers or like we're low rolling, we'll get the bench, get some cocktails, and say, you know what, let's ride it out. We'll both put $50 in. If you lose, you lose, but we'll have some fun. So I enjoy the state just because of the state of the limits too. Because like even blackjack, like obviously on the video poker machines, it's hard to play because I think it's like 1-1 on a blackjack. They ruin you on the video poker machines, but when you play on the stadium machines. It's a $5 minimum. It's something good to do if you just want to sit back, relax, and it's only $5 unless, you win, you double it up, so I do like this. At first I was anti-stadium gaming because I was losing tables, but now I look at it a little differently. I say, you know what? At the $5 blackjack table, it was kind of a mayhem and yahoos everywhere where it was like people were fighting to get on, who's arguing, where now it's we're all segregated, the low rollers to the video machines. So we don't have any trouble over at the, even though we can still have some I think Foxwoods has like $5 tables on the Fox Tower side here, but not often. So overall, don't play a lot of video, but stadium I do appreciate now.
I think you hit on a key point for us. Whenever I go to a casino with someone who's not comfortable in a casino or necessarily a big fan of like going to the table games and having to worry about playing correctly or anything like that, you take them over to those video blackjack machines and kind of ease them in, get them a drink, let them sit down, talk to them about the game with them, and then you work your way up to the table games with them. That's been real successful for us.
Training wheels.
Yeah.
Well, and there's nothing worse than talking to somebody to come to the casino and they lose their ass immediately with you, and you're like, "Isn't that fun? Aren't you happy you hung out with me tonight?" Because I have that's the great thing, the comp room. So I bring all sorts of people that are like, I don't like to gamble. I'm like, look, it's a free room. We're going out to dinner. We'll have a good time. Bring a couple $100. What are you gonna do? We'll play some slots together, some tag team slots. So. It depends my crowd, but sometimes, like I got my buddy Big Lou. He doesn't like. He likes gambling, but he's a low roller. Those machines are perfect because you have as much. You could have as much fun as at a regular table. I mean, you lose the camaraderie where sometimes, a great craps or Pai-Gow or blackjack, any table, the camaraderie is the best part. But when you're with friends anyway, nice and easy, and play at your own pace too. That's another nice thing is like you could say, all right, let's slow it down here a minute. Where you're at a blackjack table, sometimes it's like they're firing them off, and you're like, oh my god, we got hold on to your butt here. We're firing them out here.
I heard a whisper of slots there and there. Are you an AP slots guy? Are you walking the casino trying to find machines in an advantage state? Or are you just looking for whatever looks the most fun?
No, I mean, not at all. For me, usually if I'm playing slots, it's going to be in a group setting where it's my wife is with me, or I got a buddy, or if I go with like a few different guys, we'll be like, all right, let's each put in $100, make a slot ticket, and we'll go to like the high limit room and play some, for a little action there. But I don't have time to walk around. It's like, honestly, nothing against the AP aspect. Where like I know slot players are in the casino all the time, and if you have the time to be there, my time is so limited there. I don't have time to look for something to then lose when I have an advantage. I got a 1% advantage here. It's like I'll just take a 1% disadvantage and at least get my cocktail and have the time. My time is more valuable than the advantage most of the time.
I love that.
All right, so let's talk real quick outside of like the big four, outside of craps, blackjack, roulette, basic slots. What's an under the radar game that you're always looking for and getting excited for in the casino?
I mean, for me, I'm a huge Pai-Gow guy. I love Pai-Gow Poker. I'm torn. I like the traditional face down Pai-Gow. The face up Pai-Gow seems to be like its own virus spreading everywhere. It's all over my casinos now, which it's fun, I guess, because you don't have to think at all. And I guess there's a little less of a house edge on the face up, so I should enjoy that. I should be like, I'm a smart guy for playing it. But there's something about the face down, handling the cards and putting them down and everyone revealing their hand together that I love. I just love face down Pai-Gow. And even, I don't play a lot of Baccarat, but I have had fun times with my buddies who are high limit when they play high limit Baccarat. That's fun. Regular limit Baccarat is kind of like, I'm a little bored here, but I learned to appreciate it. It's almost like I enjoy scotch now, or like it's like a fine wine, you don't understand it, but once you kind of can see people and you get it, you're like, oh, I get it, but I don't play it that often. But yeah, I would say Pai-Gow face down, Pai-Gow Poker is my guilty pleasure, and it's a nice low variance. So
yeah,
so locally for me too, in the high limit at Foxwoods now, it's either 25 or 50 depending on the time of day, which for Pai-Gow isn't bad at all. So you can buy in with $500 on a $25, $50 table, and you can really play for hours as long as it's not a terrible slaughtering. Yeah, which last when I did get slaughtered, but
I did hear about that.
So I'm a huge Pai-Gow guy. I would say, other than the big ones. But I kind of want to get back into roulette. I used to do the clocking the dealer advantage method, the witchcraft of clocking the dealer. I haven't done that.
Wait, explain this. What are we talking about here?
So the clocking the dealer. So basically, the idea is you have a dealer. This is their job. They do it every day. So there is a muscle memory to that ball spinning around. This is all witchcraft. I'm not saying this is real, so don't put the house on it or even say that I'm saying this works. But I have had times that I have felt like they have backed me off. Not backed me off. I'll tell you the stories. So you watch the dealer and you say, all right, he's dropping the ball around the zero. And it's the wedge or the wheel that's hitting is opposite where he's dropping the ball every time. It could be totally coincidence. It may be nothing. But so for something to work is so not to just play randomly, I'll always hunker down. I sit right next to the wheel. I'm watching where this guy's dropping the ball. I'm looking at these revolutions. I got this. So I play locally 00 is what we have here. So I got 1, 13, 36, 24. I would have to probably brush up to do the whole wheel for you. But when I was doing it, I had the whole wheel memorized. Wow. So he's dropping it. Oh, he's dropping it by 27. Is landing, a quarter revolution away. I would know the wedge. So I put down, your regular, here's my lucky number bets. And then after they drop, I'm playing a wedge. Okay, it's dropping over. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm not exaggerating here, but there have been times where I've had the pit boss where I'd be winning doing this. Like I'm not even thinking they're watching me, I'm not, because it's not. kind of, you're like, whatever, but I'm obviously like looking at the wheel, like they're like, this guy's doing something, like, what's he doing? And I've had them come and have the dealer either spin the ball slower or call no more bets right after they drop the ball on me when I've been doing it. So I was like, what are they like? It's working. Maybe it's working. Like, I wouldn't say it was working, but the fact that why are they bothering me if they don't think it's working? So yes, the clocking the dealer method, which, you know, it doesn't work, but it's just as fun as, you know, any other sort of witchcraft that you do. It's like having lucky socks, kind of, but you just have to put a lot more brain power into it.
I can't wait to deep dive into this for like 3 months.
Dude, this is my first time hearing about clocking the dealer. Yeah. Every time we get new information on something to try out, we're excited. So thank you.
To play the contrarian, there's going to be somebody that's going to say, well, the math of the whole thing, you have the bumpers, so the ball shooting all over, and the wheel revolution, even though it seems like a constant, sometimes they spin it and speed it up. So I'm sure mathematically this is not going to pan out for you if you really study this. But
I'm
for
cool
me,
with that.
It was something fun, you know, and honestly, because that's it. So you look at the roulette wheel, they got the colors, they have no rhyme or reason. Odd or even has no rhyme or reason. But the only thing that has rhyme or reason is where the wedge of the wheel. If the numbers were all in the order, it would kind of make it so it's easy to track where the ball's landing. But if you see, 13 came out, 24 came out, 36 came out, that seems random. But when the wheel memorize, you're saying, all right, that 00 wheel's coming there. Maybe I do 10-27 or on the other side of the double. So that, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes like everything. So
Hold my calls. I got to memorize the wheel.
Yeah. We always say we don't need it to work. We just need a reason to play. So there you go.
And it really is fun though, because you get it down, and like, because back in the day, it's different now, but back in the day before phones and stuff, I used to go to the roulette table and people would have their pen and paper out and be writing the things down at the roulette table of what's happening. And this is another candid story. So I really got into the casino. My grandfather, I used to go to Atlantic City as a kid. Actually, you can't really see it over here. I have a vintage Trump Castle casino throw blanket that was a freebie. But it was funny because I've had it all these years, and now it's like, who would ever thought that it would be even more a collector's item now than ever. But so we would go to Atlantic City, and he loved roulette. He was, you know, he's obviously dead now, but when he was alive, he was a 70-something-year-old guy. He had a PlayStation. He'd be playing Caesar's Palace, and he would literally play roulette, write the numbers down. When we were kids, he had a roulette wheel. He made a roulette. He's a carpenter. He made a roulette board, and he'd be spinning, and he'd be tracking the wheel the whole time. So he had that's probably how I started getting into it. I've read other stuff about it. But he was always like, you know, he didn't, was not a millionaire off it either, but it was a hobby for him too. We'd go down to Atlantic City, and, you know, even up until he was, you know, you know, at the end of the line there, we would still go up to Mohegan. He'd walk right into that roulette table. He'd hang out by the dealer, and that was kind of his pastime, was that. And, you know, there were times he won big. It's kind of crazy.
So would he claim to be a winning roulette player?
Probably not. I mean, I wish, because I was under 21 I was a little over 21 when he passed away, I think. But we talked about the casino a little bit. I got more into I really got into the casino after he passed away. Like I would go to Atlantic City with him, and we talk about how we play Caesar's Palace together, but I wasn't doing the podcast, and I wasn't like deep into it because at that time I was a broke college student. What am I doing at a casino? I would go and lose immediately. So, but I do look back and say, I wish I could, you know, talk about roulette with him a little more and get the ins and outs of the clocking the dealer. If that's what he was doing, it was one of the books he had. I don't know if that's exactly what he was doing, but I pretend it is.
That's awesome. All right, let's dive into, because you mentioned your podcast. Yeah. Cousin Vito's Casino is the name of the podcast. It first aired from 2017 to 2021 and relaunched just this last January. First of all, what made you decide to start the show, and why was the timing right to relaunch it this year?
Well, I started the show originally because I always have like creative outlets. So I've done all sorts of weird stuff. Even now I have a food review YouTube channel with my buddy, Big Lou. Big Lou loves food. So if you on YouTube, you look that up, we do reviews every week of sometimes it's new fast food items, sometimes it's local restaurants or whatever. And at the time, I'm trying to think of what I was doing. This is going to sound crazy. I have a little EP, like a Weird Al rap album I made back then too. So I did also, and I've been working in professional wrestling since like 2005 or 6. I used to run my own promotion. Now I'm a manager. I do, I've lived my dreams basically doing that. And the casino was just something I loved. I'd go on my own and I'd listen to podcasts, mostly Gambling with an Edge. I think they stopped, but Richard Munchkin,
Sure.
I loved them. And then You Can Bet on That. They're still going, Mark and Dr. Mike. And it's gone now, but they had the Gamblers Book Club. It was some guy who owned a bookstore in Vegas, and they used to like go over like different casino books, and I used to enjoy that. So I would listen to them, and I was like, I love blabbing about the casino too. Why don't I just start recording? And then from there, it was an experiment, and it caught on. Like by the end, I was doing the Gamapalooza. I did the last Gamapalooza I did in Atlantic City. We had over 100 people turn out. It was a great community. And it wasn't even like they're coming out to see me. They were coming out to all hang out with each other and play too. It's like it's the whole group aspect. But it was just a passion for me. The comp game, and it's different now too. They kind of tightened it up, but matching the Wyndham Diamond to the Caesar Diamond, then you take your Caesar Diamond to the Hard Rock, and they'll match you to their top tier, and then you get in this. All of a sudden, you got all these lounges, all this stuff to do. So it was just fun to like share that with everybody, and then. COVID happened. I had a kid, so it was hard to do a casino podcast because the casinos were kind of closed, and I wasn't going much anyway with the kid. I was flush with cash during COVID, weirdly though, but I wasn't going to the. It's funny that when we all had our masks on. I have the baby. I'm walking around. You go to the casino. Who's there still? It's all the elderly people with oxygen masks. They're all there, fine, having a great time. I'm sitting here like, oh my god, I'm at the craps table in like a plexiglass. So that's what, honestly, that was when I was like, I was with my wife at the casino and we were playing craps, and she was in my plexiglass cube, and they were like, whoa, they're like, I'm sleeping in the bed with her later. I'm like, she can't be in my plexiglass cube with me. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, what is happening?
My goodness.
In the wheelchair with the oxygen goes by, and I'm like, this guy's been here the whole time. He's got his platinum card still. Look at me. I'm like, people are sneezing. I'm like, running the other way. So, but restarting it, I just finally started going again. I've actually kind of dropped the ball a little bit. You guys messaged me, and I haven't done much because it's been hard for me to get up there. It's like I play at home a little bit. I have stuff to talk about, but I feel like a poser, being like, oh, the casino podcast. I haven't been there since the last time I talked to you. Last time I went, I just did a recent meetup with this Everything's Mohegan Fox. It's like a New England casino group. So we had a couple dozen people up there for that, and I got destroyed. I talked to everyone into playing Pai-Gow. It was like a slaughterhouse. So, I'm licking my wounds from that. But I'm back up next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm at Foxwoods with 3 comp nights. So
Sweet.
Hopefully, it's not a disaster. We'll see. Last time I need a win once in a while. It is sometimes it's just like breaking even's great. I want to break even. I haven't even broken even. I've been just getting beat downs. It's been like, oh my god, I'm like getting in there with Mike Tyson every time I go. And not even sometimes you go up and as you flounder around, I've been like, oh my god, I've been getting knockout punches the past.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I'm getting the good juju here. That's where we're going.
Yeah, hell yeah. There's nothing worse than just losing constantly at the casino and then just you're there, so you keep gambling.
It's like, and I've been disciplined enough where I haven't made a lot of ATM mistakes. I could count on probably one hand when I could think back and been like, that was kind of stupid there, And a couple times it was because I'm chasing like a tier, like okay, I want to get the lounge access. I know it's a quadruple points day. Just come on. I had one time I was there at the 12 hours, like at the Pai-Gow table. I was in the pit. The lady was like, well, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just trying to get to the tier thing. So she was like, all right, I'm going to shuffle, go to the bathroom. So I'm like, all right. So she was stalling with me. And then she's like, I'm going to ask the pit boss if he could just rate you. Cause they were starting to like feel bad for me. Cause I'm at the table all day. Like, and I don't think I could smoke then. I do candidly sometimes miss. I don't smoke cigarettes, and I'm not a big cigar guy, but I miss the option, the freedom of doing it. I don't know what it is. Like, I would there's nothing better than playing slots, bum a cigarette from some guy. Oh yeah, okay, I'm smoking for tonight. I do miss that a little bit, weirdly, if you believe that.
I still miss the smell of cigarettes in a bar. Like, I don't know why.
As a non-smoker, I still can sympathize with that. It's like to me, it's part of the experience. Is that and people hate it. It's crazy how many people hate it, but I miss being at the craps table, especially hanging over the craps table with the cigarette. I used to love that.
Like,
We all get little cigars, and everyone hated them. But it's like, you know what? I don't know why they don't do. Even here, they have so much floor space. Make a smoking room. Make the limits a little higher. Pay the dealers a hazard pay or something for the guys who want to do it. And I feel like it'd be a hit because they don't really have great smoker accommodations at any of our casinos around here, at least.
Yeah.
I every once in a while I'll walk past like a car and the door's opening and it's a smoker's car, and I'll catch a whiff of it and I'll be like, oh, casino.
Right? No, it's true. Well, my grandfather, I had a lot of smokers in my life, so I just think of my childhood. Yeah. Like it comforts me, the smell of a Camel cigarette.
All right. So you mentioned this on you guys talked about your recent meetup on the last episode of your podcast. Can you walk through for us? Like, what were we to attend a meetup? What would we expect from it?
Probably to lose all your money with me. No, but it all depends. So like this last meetup was very casual. It was, we went to the DraftKings Sportsbook, it was on an off night because that's the other thing. The thing about planning the casino meetups, it's tough because you're dealing with all these different venues, and depending on the amount of people, it's like sometimes you want them to know ahead of time, but sometimes it pays to not let them know ahead of time because they're a business. So, oh my God, 20 people came in the door as a restaurant. You should be happy, or a bunch of people show up to your bar. But if you say, "Oh, I'm coming with 20 people," they're going to be like, "Well, you got a minimum." We're going to, where it's like. So this particular one was very casual. You meet up, I had like little wristbands to give out or something, something fun. And then you're just chatting up, telling stories, you're gambling together. We ended up doing a group, the Pai-Gow. So there was an empty Pai-Gow table. So we all 6 of us sat at a Pai-Gow table together and got slaughtered. But that's kind of, usually we do a craps meetup. And a lot of times, like when I was doing the Gamble Paloozas and we're having a group of people or I'm introducing like a host to people that are coming in and getting them rooms, we had private, get a private craps table, Atlantic City. I think at resorts, we did a slot pull there. So back then it was a little different. They were more apprehensive and like before COVID, before like all these streamers were really big, it was like, I did one at Fox. The host was like, "Oh yeah, record the slot ball." The security lady was like, "Get the cat!" They were going crazy, and we were just like, pull the wheel, quick, do it. So like but resorts was good. They let us film there, and I mean, basically, it's you're kind of just going to a party with all like-minded people because the one good thing about gamblers is they're not very attached to their money, so you're not dealing with a lot of cheapskates when you go out to do stuff. You know what I mean? Because you go to a bar, oh, I got the points, oh, I got this round, where you're having a good time, where it's not like, okay, you're with HG Pennypacker over here, and he's like, oh, well, and you're like, this guy's shorting me on his style. I don't even know this guy. That's the nice thing is gamblers they're fun to be around. Most of them, you're having a cocktail or two. And even the ones that don't have cocktails, it's probably because they were so wild when they were having cocktails that they don't even have them anymore. And that's how nutty they are. So that's really, it's like a frat party basically with all strangers. And now for me, my podcast, it's like, it was funny. I was doing because I was in that Facebook group. I had like little old ladies messaging me that wanted to meet up, but they were like, "Oh, I love to do the slot pull." I'm like, this is like somebody's great grandmother, but they're on this Facebook because who's on Facebook? It's all like, it's all grandparents on Facebook. So I got a huge grandparent contingent that love.
They're the handicap access for them at the meetups.
You're going to a big giant bar. You're meeting everyone out at the bar, and you kind of roam free because it's it's like the herding cats mentality with the gamblers, and most of them are good to go. Like don't overplan it. So if you guys were planning on doing something, that was probably the biggest thing is when you overplan. All right, we're doing this at 10 a.m. We're doing this at noon. We're doing this. You get to a point where you're like, oh my God, if somebody's at a hot craps table. You're not going to, to the Keno Lounge for the meetup. You want to go stay at the craps table. So very loose. That's what I learned. Group gambling is what you call it. And you do a nice wide open window and just meet at a bar, meet at a restaurant. I do miss the Keno. That was one of my favorite meetups is we do the breakfast and they have the Keno runners. They used to have them at the Oxwoods. Everyone get their Keno. So you're gambling at breakfast. You got the breakfast buffet. You got your Keno tickets, but COVID really, all the things about that COVID they ruined the casino the most, I feel like. All the changes are negative for the player. Other than the cleanliness, I guess. It is a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything was negative.
Well, shoot, I certainly hope we get to make it out to a meetup with you now.
We have a blast,
Sounds awesome.
All right, we got to come back to this because you mentioned this, and I knew this a little bit about you as well. You are big into the wrestling scene. What's the deal there? What's your background with wrestling?
So many years ago, I liked pro wrestling growing up, and I had by some weird coincidence, I ended up at this wrestler, Paul Roma. He was a lower level wrestler, but he was in the Four Horsemen. He was like in the 80s, early 90s. He was an up and coming wrestler. He had a wrestling school out of Bridgeport, Connecticut, and at the time I was doing college radio. I would have like my own radio show, so that kind of leads into how I got into podcasting, as I was always into like media. I got a political science degree. I don't know why. I should have got a communications. I would have used it actually, maybe. But I started doing live streams. So we were doing on the college radio station live, and it was big for the college radio to set up your live gear. You're plugging in. We were plugging in like a phone line back then in like the early 2000s. And I started doing that. And then from there, Paul, they didn't want to run shows anymore. So I was like, I'm going to start running my own shows because I was doing the video production on the side anyway. So I started running shows, and there was this guy who had a bigger promotion out of New York, and he would run Connecticut. He'd bring in the big stars, but we were starting to, pick up steam. I was getting 400 or 500 people a show. We were starting to bring in, name wrestlers like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I'm not Hulk Hogan, but we were bringing guys that were, famous from WWE and independent guys. And I started doing videos for him, and he was like, "Why don't you just work for me?" And I had an incident in one of my shows where like the health department, I don't know, it was some stupid thing, some guy spit in the crowd, somebody, it was some sort of thing where it's like, hey, all right. And I was like, I don't have the money for a lawsuit, really. I'm in college here. So I started doing videos for him. Then I'm, doing the interviews for him. Then I was ringing the bell. And I always wanted to be a manager, but I never really, I was like, I enjoy the behind the scenes stuff. And then we had there was a king tournament. So the king, somebody a close buddy of mine from the wrestling school became king, and he had this idea. He wanted a guy to come out with a top hat and read like a proclamation from a scroll for him, So I'm the only guy with a suit in the whole freaking wrestling world. And they're like, I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm a little nervous to go out there. I'm the only guy with the suit. So I'm like, all right, I got to do it. And I don't know. I must have had the top hat I had the top hat though. So maybe I was waiting in the wings, but I had the top hat and I did that. And the guy didn't want to use me as a manager. The guy had to say, bring him down. And I started getting heat. Like they would boo me because, it was a different look. I had the top hat. I had the scroll. I had like this little bamboo cane, and I put time into, my wrestling outfit, which is a great advice that Ray, I don't know if you know wrestling, there's this wrestler Raven. He was this old ECW guy. And he I'm sure a million people have always said this, but he said as advice to young wrestlers, he's like, you got to spend money to make money. If you're going to show up in a 2-cent outfit, they're going to treat you like a 2-cent guy. So that always stuck with me. So when I put the suit, I was always, all right, I'm going to add a little button here, a little stupid whatever you get off Amazon or at a little antique store, little tchotchkes and stuff. And I was getting so much heat that it was like, all right, you're his manager now. You got to come out with you do this proclamation. They boo the hell out of you guys. And I started doing the meet and greets with him because he would make a lot of money. He started doing like we would get Burger King crowns, but they were like his like custom crowns.
Oh, okay.
For like 10 cents a piece, but you could sell them for $5 to these people. You autograph them. Oh yeah, you buy a $5 crown, get a free picture. People are like, oh my God, I got a crown and a picture. Other guys will charge you $10 for a picture or $20 for a picture. So I started getting heat at the meet and greets. So then when we would come out, I would, because my thing is we didn't have music. I'd come out and be like, stop the show with the microphone. And you could feel the heat, boo, because they all knew me from the meet and greet. I'd heckle them. I love telling them about their dolls collect because they all the wrestling figures. Oh, nice dolls. They hate when you call it dolls, a wrestling figure. Hate it. But so eventually that started snowballing, and I got all sorts of just this last month, I got another sock from Mick Foley. I got the Mick Foley sock at the Westchester Civic Center. It was actually it was probably one of the biggest shows I've ever was on. It was probably like 2,000 people, almost sold out. And I was in a great spot against this guy, Romeo Roselli, a former WWE guy who was retiring. But I live my dreams. I've been pinned by Jerry the King Lawler. I've actually pinned Brian Anthony. I lost a match. I got elbowed through it. I've been through several tables in my life now, but
That's awesome.
I've lived my dreams with all sorts of legends over the years. You know, I mean, I have a signed Hacksaw 2x4. He tried to whack me with during one of them. We had a stadium.
Oh, wow.
And that was the fun thing. Like Lawler, I got to work with the whole summer. So like, you know, a little kid me would have been like, "You're living the dream, buddy." And I tell myself that, but sometimes I'm like, you don't want to get out of bed for this now. But
Does it hurt getting thrown through a table?
no, surprisingly, the table is the nicest because the table's breaking or fall.
Oh.
So realistically, like I had I did one where I got knocked off the ring on the table was outside and on the floor. And you know, I got like the Mick Foley. I got a good body shape for it, like the Humpty Dumpty. So it felt beautiful to me. Like it felt good. Like one really good bump I took was you know the guy from David Arquette, the movie star from Scream. So he came back to wrestling for a little bit, and we were in like a program with David Arquette. So we worked a few shows with him. And I have one clip. It was another big show, a couple thousand people. And he wound up, and I was on the apron. He grabs me by my little hat. He's taking my top hat on, and I'm looking around, and he punches me. And I don't know how I even did it. I got my feet over my head, and I bumped on the apron and twirled onto the ground. My hat went flying off, and it was just the way the crowd exploded. And when I look back at the video, I was like, and I'm not like, you know, I don't go in the ring and like, you know, train every day or anything. So like the fact go out there and I watch it back and I'm like, I look like I know what I'm doing. And so that was another great one with, you know, that David Arquette. I forgot about Arquette. He's another nice guy. David Arquette. He's a very, very good guy.
I did not know he was a wrestling
No, I didn't know he was in
personality. I only know he was married to Courtney Cox.
Oh, they're married in real life.
Yeah. Let's have some fun with a few casino topics here before we let you go. What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen at a craps table?
Weirdest thing I've ever seen at a craps
or any table if you've got a particularly good one.
No, I got a couple of light things. So this is kind of, it's kind of weird. It's kind of sad and kind of whatever. I was going to the casino regularly, and there was he must have been a wealthy older guy, heavy set, very overweight. This guy would be at the craps table in the chair, and he would just sleep. He would have all his chips in front of him, and they would just let him sleep. Wow. Like he would be sitting there sleeping, and like I would play, and I'd be there for an hour, and this guy would be sleeping. And it's like he had a lot of nice chips in front of him, so he's obviously playing, and they're like, whatever, let him sit there and sleep. Whatever, maybe he's apnea, or he's not sleeping at night, but he would sit there and sleep at the craps table all the time. One weird story. It's more comical. So I went to the casino. My wife and I have a cousin who never goes to the casino. He's a little bit younger. He's kind of like I don't know what the word would be, but he's like he's an introvert, a video gamer guy. Going out and being all the flashing lights is like he's going out to Applebee's and it's like a big night out. So I was like, all right, we're going to Foxwoods, right? So we ended up. So we get there and I'm like, give me the highest floor you got. So we're going up this elevator. I could already see he's like, getting nervous. And because he's like a movie guy, introvert, he's like, oh, this is kind of like Biff Tannen's Casino in 1985. Give me all these. This is like in Rocky IV. This is like the casino movie. I'm like, all right. So we get up to the room or whatever. He's looking out the window. I'm like, is this the highest you ever been? Because he's never been on a plane. He's like, this is the highest you ever been in the sky? He's like at the window, like, like Vertigo. He doesn't know what to do. He's like, oh my God, high anxiety here looking out the window. So we get to the craps table and we're playing. And there was some wild lady. She had a lot of cocktails. She may have been a lady of the night. She's been around the block anyway. So we're sitting there playing, the craps table's hot, and she's doing a lot of talking, give me my money. And he's rolling my cousin, first time, beginner's luck at the craps table is something else to believe in a little bit. He's having the best roll ever. So this lady, he is looking at him. She's like, you look like somebody. You look like somebody. You look like that movie star. So we're like, who could he look like? I'm thinking like, I don't know who he even looks like. He looks like, Bunsen Honeydew from the Muppets or whatever. He doesn't look movie star. I'm not like, look at this lady be looking at like a guy from Revenge of the Nerds or something maybe. She goes, You look like Sylvester Stallone. I'm like, Sylvester Stallone. I'm like, he looked like, who do I look? I'm like, must be Marlon Brando. This guy, Sylvester Stallone. And I'm telling you, we still joke about that he looks like Sylvester Stallone at the crab table. So she was hugging him. It was probably one of the greatest. I mean, I'm sure it's one of his most memorable nights because
that's hilarious.
Memorable for me. I was like the Sylvester. Oh, and this is a side note. It's also, so it's kind of ragging on him a little bit, but he had we were going, he had all these Dunkin' Donut gift cards. Like, I'm going to get you Dunkin' Donuts tonight. And I'm like, all right, nice. So I order my stuff up or whatever. And so he has all these gift cards. He's like, oh, I'm going to get a mug. He's getting all these things that I don't know what he's getting, like souvenirs of the Dunkin' Donuts with these stupid gift cards. So he goes to give the gift cards. The lady's like, we don't take the gift cards at these Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh my God.
Or something. So they don't take the gift cards. Oh, he was, we have all our drinks. I'm sitting there, slivering my drinks. And then he had to whip out his credit card and buy us. And then he had all this stuff. He had mugs, all this stuff he was buying for people he knew because he had these gift cards. And he had to spend like $50 on souvenirs out of his pocket. That's not like the gambling table, but beware of the casino, Dunkin' Donuts, and Starbucks. The rules are different.
Yeah,
right. Well, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. Following up to the Dunkin' Donuts in the middle of the night. Most degenerate meal you've had after a night of gambling?
Degenerate meal. Are we talking degenerate as in low budget, grimy, or are we talking degenerate as in I'm spending way outside my means, swinging from a chandelier, or because one thing that I would say is most degenerate, which wasn't my fault with this because this was in the COVID era, was like 11 o'clock. And again, we're going to go back. There was the only thing open for whatever reason at the casino I was at was the Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm not eating Dunkin' Donuts at 2 a.m. We ended up eating out of the vending machine on the floor there. That was a low point. Like I'm sitting eating peanut M&Ms, licking my wounds. That was sad. Honestly, I love a nice late night Asian. I love when the nice Asians up and get like a Hong Kong style wonton soup. That's a nice late night dish for me. I love doing that. But yeah, nothing too crazy because up here, I'm captive. I usually go to the resort casino. So for the most part, I'm at Mohegan Sun or Foxwoods. And so I'm captive to what's in the casino. Or when I go to Atlantic City, it was a little bit different. You wander a little bit. But even then, it's I'm not wandering too far off the beaten path in Atlantic City at night anymore either.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's probably, Vegas, what am I scoffing down McDonald's or something heinous that I could probably do at home. But yeah, nothing stands out as too degenerate. Mostly,
fair enough.
Unhealthy is probably the most true term to what I would do late night at the casino.
So let me ask this. You're at the casino. You've got two options. You've got a buffet and a steakhouse. Which one are you going to, Vito?
The caveat would be obviously there are those spectacular famous buffets like at Caesars where oh my God. But even I'm going to say probably 9.5 out of 10 times I'm going to a steakhouse.
Yeah, agreed.
Because the buffet is fun or whatever, but you're forced to overeat, I feel like. And I especially after a night of a bunch of cocktails, and the food's going to be usually a lower quality. I'm usually less confident in my seafood options that are sitting there under a sneeze guard, when I'm going to pick them up. But, a nice steakhouse, and you don't even get the steak there. I feel like there's ways around going to a nice steakhouse. You don't have to spend $200 on a meal at the steakhouse. Yeah. My favorite, we have Mohegan has the Michael Jordan Steakhouse, or we got Dave Burke, and I guess Hell's Kitchen here is kind of like a steakhouse. They got the whatever, a little few steaks, but a lot of times they have a nice bar menu. You go to sit at the bar, split apps with people, get a bunch of apps, or Michael Jordan Steakhouse is the best crab. If you're ever Mohegan, Michael Jordan, they have the best crab cake. I'll go there. It's market price. But I'll just get a cocktail, enjoy a delectable crab cake, and be like, you know what? I'm going to be like a normal human being that doesn't have to fill himself till he wants to throw up, which is what I normally do. Gluttony is one of my superpowers. If I were a superhero, would be overeating. So the steakhouse also, I'll overeat there, but sometimes, I'm a little more conscious because I'm picking my items, very thoughtfully curating.
That's smart.
We need to work on that.
Yeah, after not to recash the whole thing, but after our meal at the steakhouse for the last episode trip, I don't think I could do a buffet. I felt like crap just after having dessert.
Now, did you get steaks? What kind of steaks?
We got steaks. So our buddy hooked it up. He got everybody's steaks. And then the waitress comes out. She's like, "Hey guys, you got $40 left. Like, you better spend it." And they wouldn't let us use it on alcohol, so we got a bunch of desserts.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do.
Favorite is the tomahawk. Go to the steak with the tomahawk with people. I used to every year. There's this. It's still there. Altostrada was an Italian restaurant. It's kind of going a little bit. Mushad, and it's after COVID again. But back when it first opened, I used to get that tomahawk steak. They used to give me a card on the birthday. They was like a nice thing they would do there every time. Oh, I'm thinking about it now because my problem is I could cook a great fillet at home. Like I love fillets, but I could cook a fillet on the Blackstone, salt, pepper, throw it on 5 minutes aside, eat a medium rare. It's just as good as the steakhouse. We're like those big cuts with like the bone in and all the fat you got to render. It's like I'm just not as good at this as a steakhouse is doing that, and so I do. And now that we're talking about steak, I maybe I'll get a tomahawk at Foxwoods next week and have them talking about it.
Enjoy.
All right, let's wrap up here. Vito, the food vlog that you were talking about earlier that you're associated with, give us a quick rundown of this. What is this food vlog? Because now I want to hear you talk about food more often.
So basically, it was with my buddy Big Lou, who we did all the wrestling together, videography, and we were trying to come up with something. Trying to cook up some sort of side project that wouldn't be a lot of video editing. So I was like, why don't we do fast food reviews? We'll sit in the car, set the cameras up, and we'll try new fast food items. So we tried a bunch of, new things, the most expensive thing on the menu, a bunch of little ideas. And then we started doing, local stuff. So like we did last summer, we're doing again this summer, lobster roll. So we got the shoreline here, go to all the lobster huts, do the lobster roll tour. We recently did not all of them, but we did like a series. It was like 5 or 6 of the burgers at Foxwoods. So, Gordon Ramsay's burger, Dave Burke's burger, Guy Fieri's burger, the Wall burger. So we do stuff like that. Basically, they're like 5 to 10 minute reviews. We get the food and then we rate them. It's a sliding scale, obviously, because when you're doing a McDonald's McChicken sandwich compared to like, lobster roll, but price point is very big into, like, for instance, this just tonight we released Wendy's has a new Taki chicken sandwich where it's like crunched up Takis on there, and they have these like the Taki, like the spicy.
Yeah.
They have a whole Taki meal that big. So Big Lou has his finger on the jugular of the fast food for me. So he had this Taki meal. So we did that, and I guess I'll spoil it for you. So we do a 5 scale. Basically, 3 is the middle. I guess it extrapolates to a 6. That would mean I would probably get it if I was there. I might get it again. 4 is like go out of your way. That'd be an 8 on a 10 scale. You go out of your way to get this if you're into this type of food. So this taco is under a 3 for me because the price point, it was like $13. It's like a sandwich, a fry, and a drink for $13 when the pinnacle of the fast food is really the Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich. It's like $5 to like $4.99, and it's the top chicken sandwich of any of these restaurants. Like they puts KFC, they puts everything to shame. So I looked at it and I said, I could get 2.5 Popeyes chicken sandwiches for this one meal that was so horrible. Well, I did give them a little creativity credit. The fries were good. They were like sprayed with whatever Taki chemical dust makes the spice. That's weekly. Every Tuesday we release.
Fantastic.
Big Lou loves food. Look that up.
Big Lou loves food.
Big Lou loves food. I'll tell you this, Vito, I did 16 years of consumer research on the food service industry, and the Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich, or just the chicken sandwich in general, plus the spicy version, was one of the biggest hits I saw in my 16-year career. So you're not off on that.
I'm happy to hear that because the people that like come to the releases, they'll dog me and be like, "Oh, he's always talking about the Popeyes chicken sandwich," but it's like
it turned their business around.
It's the litmus, and they just came out with wraps. We did the wraps a couple weeks ago. Those were awesome. It's like McDonald's has been sitting around. Oh, we're coming out with the snack wraps coming back 1 year, and it's like, dude, you're too late. Popeyes just came out with better wrap than you're ever gonna have, and they're gonna be cheaper than your wrap. So they're that McDonald's. Yeah, I always rag on McDonald's. So they're the least creative. It's like I don't know how they're hanging in there. They get me because I'll get $1 coffee there. I'll go okay, nice. I'll get $1 iced coffee, but they're like great. Whoever's in their laboratory is just not very creative. They get a little more fast and loose here, like Taco Bell. I don't know what they're smoking in the Taco Bell laboratory, but they always have something coming out. They're wrapping. Oh, we'll wrap a quesadilla in a taco shell and wrap it in a burrito and fry it. And it's like it'll be out for only a few months, but it's like, you know what? At least they're trying something. They got a poster to put up in the window. McDonald's is like, oh, we got the new whatever meal, some new wrapper meal, and it's like, oh yeah, it's and you get a dipping sauce with your fry, or oh yeah, we give you a 4-piece nugget on the side. Isn't that cool? It's the grimace meal. It comes with a purple thing. It's like, this isn't new. It's like you're just putting all the same crap in a different way. It's like, you're not fooling me, McDonald's. So
You can't fool us, McDonald's.
That's exactly true. And with Taco Bell's promotions, if you notice, it's like the same 7 ingredients that they repackage it 100,000 different ways.
They have a wheel.
It's like, this is the new cantina chicken. They're spraying some other chemical on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is good. Oh, it's adobo now. Oh, perfect. It's adobo. What they do? Oh, yeah, they ground some sort of other chemical concoction that is all natural flavors.
Oh man.
Oh,
Wow,
we're
this
going
was
to call
great.
it there. Vito, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. You can find his show, Cousin Vito's Casino, wherever you podcast. Good juju to your bets, everyone. We'll talk again soon.